Speaking of the Hawks, they say they're handling over 22,000 cases totaling about R1 trillion. These cases involve over 23,000 suspects and more than 12,000 have been in different courts. National head of the Directorate, Lieutenant General Godfrey Lebeya, says over 4,000 convictions have been secured across the country. He adds that that several high-profile cases, including the VBS scandal, have been placed on the court's roll. Now, eNCA reporter Silindelo Masikane has more on this story. She's been following the proceedings for us. Sli, you actually were there. It was about a 2-hour press conference, I think, by Lieutenant General Lebeya. What are some of the highlights? What are the important things that we should know?
Well, of course, we know that this is the first press briefing that he's held, in fact, since he took office as head of the Hawks. And he says he deemed it necessary to just update the nation in terms of the number of investigations that they are doing as the Directorate, some of the successes that they've had, and ongoing investigations into a wide range of crimes such as money laundering, trafficking, fraud and corruption, COVID-19 issues in terms of the COVID-19 tears, as well as the arrests into the July 2021 unrest. So overall, we know that the Directorate is handling more than 22,000 cases with hundreds who have been arrested. But I think what everybody really wanted to know is some of the criticisms around the investigations into the unrest, where we have not seen what have been described as high-profile arrests, people who are politically connected, who have not been charged at this point or even named as being investigated. Let's just take a listen to what he had to say around that.
If one can understand the complicated nature of the investigation that we have been dealing with, the public should rest assured that nothing that appeared in public was left unattended. So as to the evidence that we tabled before the prosecuting authority to make a determination of prosecuting or otherwise is a different matter. There are certain things that may appear in media space, which we obviously take note of that, package those in a form of docket, and after completion, table it before the prosecution. So far, with the arrest of today, we have just passed the 50% mark towards where we would be going with regard to arresting those who played a role. So I wouldn't be indicating who are the others, and we don't necessarily rank them. When they appear in court, those who want to analyze their role in society and the level at which they participate in society can be able to rate those. But those who have already gone in court can begin to analyze and say that this one is operating at this level of society.
So, Sli, whether he likes it or not, Phala still remains a thorn on the president's side, right? Was there anything said by the Hawks today in terms of investigations around that?
In fact, in the initial statement, nothing was mentioned about Phala Gate, which I think is what prompted journalists who attended the briefing to ask exactly why he wouldn't mention it. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
The investigation relating to the farm where mention is being made that Mr. Fraser have made a statement regarding the investigation allegedly against the state president. The question is whether we are investigating. Why are we not mentioning that? As I've indicated, we are having more than 22,000 cases. So I haven't mentioned each case that we are currently dealing with. So most of the cases that I have hinted to are those that we have finalized. As you correctly point out, indeed the complainant made a statement, and so far we have filed 41 statements in the docket. So I will not deal with the nitty-gritties of the content whose statement is filed in the docket, but rest assured that 41 statement is more than the statement that the complainant shall have filed.
And any update on the tavern shootings that we've seen recently in Gauteng and KZN?
I think quite interestingly enough, it seems the Hawks are not tasked with investigating the spate of tavern shootings that we've seen across the country. This is what the General had to say around those investigations, which are actually tasked with the police.
With regard to the question of the killings at the tavern, which have been raised on 2 occasions, I must say that we are not dealing with those killings that are taking place at the taverns. The greater service, the detective and forensic services in the South African Police Service are dealing with those matters. So I will not respond to the status of the investigation as to when arrest will be effected in cases of Soweto and the like.
All right, that was Lieutenant General Godfrey Lebeya of the Hawks, and Silindelo Masikane was covering that press conference for us earlier today.